When it comes to incredible colony sims, RimWorld pretty much sits at the top, but what if you wanted something new, something different, something you haven't played before? To me, there's just so much to enjoy with the genre though, from creating adventures to building up a neat little city to, I don't know, starting a cult. Hey everyone, it's Marco here, and coming up I'll be sharing with you 16 colony sims that all scratch that RimWorld itch. Just a note that this is part 2 of the series, so you might not find all the popular games, but you might find some hidden gems. Like, what about KeeperRL, which is this ambitious blend of Dwarf Fortress and Dungeon Keeper, and a game many of you pointed out in my previous video. KeeperRL is a mix of classic dungeon simulator gameplay with various roguelike and RPG elements. In the game, you'll play as this evil keeper where you'll need to dig out and construct a dungeon and recruit malicious minions to help do your bidding. This also means training them and then giving them some decent gear so that they can hold their own against the good guys around you. And yes, you can even take control of one of your minions and fight in these simultaneous turn-based battles. Also, that roguelike tag means unlike similar games, you'll be doing these runs with specific winning conditions. It's way less complex compared to games like RimWorld or Dwarf Fortress, where the focus here lies more on training your troops for battle. So if you're looking for a colony sim that plays a bit like a roguelike version of Dungeon Keeper, well then KeeperRL will be for you. Then up next is the recent title The Last Starship. That's from the same folks who made Prison Architect, except now instead of running a prison, you'll be running your own spaceship. It's a 2D build your own vessel kind of game set in this bright, colorful universe, and you get to basically decide what kind of life you want to live out there. A pirate hunter, a miner, a glorified space bus driver, whatever tickles your fancy. The core loop is pretty much manage your ship, trade at colonies, keep the logistics running, and automate whatever you can, which scratches that same itch as base building in a colony sim, just with a lot more vacuum outside the windows. Sure, some of these systems are a bit bare bones and the combat is a bit basic, the game is still in active development, and once it clicks, it is very fun to play. So if you like the idea of designing your own base and you want it flying around through space instead of just sitting still, well then The Last Starship is definitely worth checking out. Then coming up next is a bit more of a niche title. It's called Odd Realm, where you have to manage the growth of a settlement in a realm recovering from the fracture, a calamity that nearly destroyed the realm. This game is like a combo between Dwarf Fortress and RimWorld, leaning more into the former in terms of gameplay. But hey, it's got Z levels, so that's very cool. You can choose from 5 different races at the start, each with different playstyles, and overall you'll be doing all the things you'd expect from the genre. Things like digging mines, chopping down trees, and building enough furniture to fill an entire IKEA, all while trying not to get anyone kidnapped. I love the chunky pixels though, it's like I'm playing Songs of 6 in low res, but it's very cool. So if you're looking for a game like Dwarf Fortress, but it focuses more on the gaming aspects and less like a simulation, but still comes with enough complexity to keep you busy, then Odd Realm is worth checking out. And then up next is SpaceSlog, and this one is for anyone who thinks RimWorld just isn't stressful enough. Your colony here is a ship you'll be building and customizing yourself, so you get that same tight room-by-room management loop, just with the added fun of needing to keep everyone alive in this vacuum. Plus, because it's a ship, there's a lot of things you need to take care of, the temperature, the electricity, and things like that, and if any of that falls apart, then your crew is not going to be happy and they are going to start rebelling. It doesn't shy away from the grim stuff either. There's a lot of anatomy and health modeling, and yes, you can harvest aliens for food and materials if you're feeling particularly ruthless. Outside the ship though, you'll be exploring a procedurally generated galaxy, trading with factions, and fighting off alien threats so that there's always somewhere new to point your ship. Now it is fairly new, but it's still in early access, so that means that it's still a bit rough around the edges. But if you enjoy games like RimWorld and you want it to be applied in space, well then SpaceSlog might just be a title worth checking out. Up next is Oceaneers, which reminds me of a game that looks like Don't Starve, except it's got that colony sim management to it. So changing up the scene a bit, the world is flooded and now you need to manage a group of stranded survivors on these floating islands. The big hook here is float tech, which lets you literally resurface sunken islands and drag them back to your base and expand your settlement, which is quite a unique way of handling the need more land problem. Plus you gotta deal with the survival elements too, things like waste management, fertilizer, cooking rations, all while fending off hungry seagulls, crabs and sharks. It's basically an episode of Naked and Afraid, except with more clothing. There's a research tree that goes from primitive tools all the way up to old world corporation technology hidden in bunkers, and the game also allows you to customize your survivors' traits and skills so you start to feel for them. Again, it's fairly new and still in early access, so a few issues here and there, but if you want that familiar colony sim satisfaction but you're now dropped into a soggy island hopping survival setting, then Oceaneers might just be worth checking out. Following that is Craft the World, the side-scrolling colony sim that comes with dungeon keeper elements and is also a title that was heavily recommended to me. In the game you'll start off with a single dwarf and slowly expand your settlement by recruiting more workers, climbing through a tech tree and crafting everything from basic tools to elaborate fortifications. It's definitely more of a relaxed game than something like RimWorld, and those graphics give it this charming feel to the gameplay that involves mining, building and fending off those skeletons. I know many people might not be a fan of those cartoony aesthetics, but once you get into it, it's going to be very hard to put down. Like just the satisfaction of watching your dwarves cruise around, building and mining in a world that you've carved out for them. That's what's going to keep you coming back for more. So if you're looking for a chilled out colony sim that has some challenges along the way, then Craft the World is going to be for you. And then coming up next, if you're looking to help your settlers live in this charming land, then up next is Stonehearth. Here's a game that's got these charming voxel graphics that let you design your own buildings and watch your adorable townsfolk get to work. In the game, you'll need to assign your people jobs from building to crafting to fighting, and then soon those jobs can be upgraded to better ones. Again, it's for people who get some enjoyment from watching their settlers live out their best lives thanks to what you've provided them. Now, this is a title I need to put an asterisk next to because it could have been so great. However, the devs have sadly abandoned it, leaving it with bugs and other issues like the performance once your village grows. However, if you know your way around mods, then it's a game worth checking out, as you can still get many hours of gameplay out of it thanks to the awesome community. So if it looks good to you and you can handle a few bugs here and there and you want to have a few mods, then Stonehearth is still worth checking out. Now, when it comes to all of this gaming, where does one find the time or the energy? Well, I can't help with the time, but for the energy, well, there's Holy. They decided to partner up with me, and honestly, it came at just the right time. During the first heat wave that hit France, it's still going on, but my fiance and I were like, please, someone give us something to give us energy to help move our feeble bodies. And it was at that time that Holy sent me one of their starter packs that came with the energy sachets. And I'm honestly not the biggest fan of energy drinks. They're normally loaded with sugar and taurine and all that other stuff that probably glows in the dark. I don't know. But I tried out one, and at first I was like, why do they call it Holy? And 30 minutes later, I was like, holy shit. But I mean, the flavors, they taste great. Right now I'm using Blood Orange Bat. Tastes pretty good. And they don't just have energy drinks, they got hydration packs, they've got milkshakes, green tea, all these different variants on their website. They do have this starter pack kit that actually comes with this shaker as well. And if you use my code, you get 10% off on your first order. The link is in the description below. I'm enjoying it quite a bit right now. So if you want something a little bit different than the usual energy drinks, maybe go try out Holy today. It's funny, I just realized that it feels like the graphics are slowly improving in this list, as up next we've got Sapiens. This is a prehistoric to medieval colony sim that wants you to guide humanity from mammoth hunts to mud huts all the way to castles and steel swords. You start by choosing a procedurally generated plot of land from this massive world map, and then you need to send your tribe out to hunt, gather, farm, and discover new technology. And yeah, the research part of the game is just too cool. Like, forget about a research table. Here you literally gotta rub sticks together to learn how to make fire. The building system is also very flexible, like 3 axes of rotation kind of flexible, letting you build however you want. Now the game is still in early access, but I don't think the developer is working on the game anymore, which kind of sucks, so I guess what you see here is what you get. But if you enjoy the long-term progression and patient world building, well then Sapiens is a game worth checking out. Coming up next on the list is Rise to Ruins, a game inspired by RimWorld, Black and White, as well as Dwarf Fortress. Quite a combo, but this game comes with a mix of guard game elements, management stuff, as well as some tower defense thrown in for good measure. During the day you'll be expanding your village, and then at night you'll be fighting off hordes of evil creatures. It's also not very easy, so expect a little bit of a challenge as it'll take some time to get your city up and running. But once you do, you can easily sink hours into it. Like, you'll start on one tile of the map, and then once it's running smoothly, you get to start another colony on a new tile, and so on. I'd say it's more of a tower defense game though, with a colony simulator attached to it, but if that sounds good to you, then maybe go check out Rise to Ruins today. Following that is first Feudal, and this one asks, hey, what if RimWorld had a sword and shield phase, where you'll be taking a ragtag group of peasants and slowly turning them into a proper feudal stronghold? Same deal as always though, you'll be assigning your jobs, keeping everyone fed and housed, and bracing yourself because winter and bandits are coming for you, and usually at the same time. What I like though is that you're not just stuck babysitting. Like, you can delegate most of the tasks but still jump in and personally direct your militia when a fight kicks off, which feels great when you actually pull off a win. There's a proper tech tree too, so you're not just stuck chopping logs forever, and you'll slowly work your way up to real manufacturing and trade. It also supports co-op, so if you've got a mate who's into this kind of stuff, you can build your little medieval nightmare together. So if you're looking for the classic settler by settler management without the game ballooning into some sprawling city that you can't keep track of, then first Feudal might be worth checking out. And then changing up the scene a bit, up next is Spellcaster University. In this game you'll need to set up an elite university full of mages. To do that, you'll be building rooms, training your students, fighting orcs, slaying the bureaucrats, and managing your budget, and just a whole lot more. The game also is based on a random card picking engine, which means that you'll be using cards to build your school, adding classrooms, restrooms, pets, decorations, and so on. You'll be drawing cards of different magic that correspond to the mana generated by the working students, so then you'll be able to specialize in different types, which is very cool. I'd say it's also similar to games like 2 Point Hospital and 2 Point Museum, those kind of games where it's not too complex, and yeah, so the tutorial isn't the easiest, but once you get past that, it's still very easy to just get sunk into this game. So if you're looking for a Hogwarts simulator and you weren't the biggest fan of Mind Over Magic, well then maybe go check out Spellcaster University today. And then coming up next is Gnomoria. Ha, bet you weren't expecting me to put this game in here. Here's a game that clearly draws inspiration from Dwarf Fortress, but offers a slightly more accessible entry point. You start off in the wilderness with 8 gnomes, tasked with building a thriving settlement from scratch. The game features a charming, chunky isometric style that lets you build sprawling underground kingdoms. But yeah, the core gameplay loop goes hard, involving these complex production chains, like crafting a single bed requires coordinating 4 different workshops that process goods from forests, farms, and livestock. And while this might be very deep for some, it does create a steep learning curve. Like, you'll probably need that wiki open on the side and you'll be checking it out all the time. You know, it's one of those I need to have the wiki open at all time kind of games. Also, fun fact, the game does come with a free version of the game called Gnomoria, which, as far as I know, the dev is no longer working on it, which is a bit sad. But yes, I know this game here is a bit old now, and again, is also no longer being updated or worked on, but Gnomoria will give you a rewarding experience for anyone wanting to sink hours into just this ultra-detailed, management-heavy colony sim. And then following that is Lords and Villains, a cozy title that tasks you with ruling your own medieval fiefdom through a mix of adorable visuals and surprisingly deep management mechanics. Honestly, to me it reminds me of Stardew Valley if it was a serious colony sim. You'll be nurturing dynasties of families, assigning them specific professions like farmers, carpenters, or the clergy, and then managing their homesteads and work zones. And unlike the chaotic, high-threat nature of RimWorld, this game offers more of a relaxed, building-focused experience where you can sink hours into just individually decorating houses and optimizing your industrial output. And while it is more of a hands-off experience where you'll act as a guiding noble rather than a direct micromanager, it still does come with some complex economic systems and even a social hierarchy between peasants, clergy, and nobility. It can be a bit of a slow burn with some early game frustration though, but for those who enjoy meticulous city building and aesthetic customization, well then Lords and Villains might just be the game for you. And then following that is Founder's Fortune, a more charming and wholesome take to the colony sim genre. It does still follow a similar core loop though, as you'll be keeping your villagers fed, keeping them happy, and then watching the seasons turn against you. What is also very cool though is with the housing. You'll be able to build everything from scratch, the walls, the furniture, the whole lot, so your settlement will start looking like yours instead of just a simple copy-paste job. Another cool feature though is the family system, where you'll be having kids that need to be raised and educated before they're of any use to you, which adds this weirdly wholesome multi-generational angle that most colony sims don't usually come with. Beyond that, you've got the research, the trade caravans, and defending against these tiki goblins. The settlers have their own personalities, there's a good modding community out there, so if you're looking to have some creative control over your little village, then Founder's Fortune might be the game for you. Then coming up next is Honey, I Joined a Cult, which, yeah, try and guess what this one's about. Instead of surviving in the wilderness, here you're running a cult compound, managing your followers' schedules, their skills, and the interior decorating of your base, because yeah, apparently even cults need to look good. Just like in RimWorld, you'll be assigning tasks with a priority system and keeping an eye out on your members' physical and mental states, and trying to keep your increasingly demanding cult leader happy, which is not always easy. You'll also be sending followers out on covert missions into town to gather resources and researching genuinely unhinged technology like the discombobulator. There's a lot of customization as well. You can change the cult symbol, the uniforms, and the relic you all worship. It's all up to you. Like with similar games, you need to keep the people fed, happy, and productive, but this time around it's all wrapped in this tongue-in-cheek theme that you don't often see. So if you're looking for a colony sim that's got a side of dark comedy, well then Honey, I Joined a Cult might just be the game for you. Now I gotta be honest, the games like RimWorld don't come around every day, so I decided to show two games that haven't been released yet, but I thought they might just scratch that RimWorld itch. So coming soon is Dungeon Settlers, which is a mix of colony sim management with tactical dungeon crawling, which just looks so much fun to play. At your base, it's the colony sim experience you all know and love, walling off rooms, growing crops, researching technology, keeping everyone fed, and so on. But the game looks pretty hardcore. You actually need to produce enough rations and supplies to send your people out into the world, or they're not coming back. That leads me to the second element, the expeditions. You pick a party of 4 based on their race, traits, and background, and you send them into procedurally generated dungeons for some proper real-time with pause combat, exploiting bleeds and burns to take down golems and other weird creatures. It's gonna come with permadeath and skill trees that synergize, which looks like it's gonna create an intimate, high-stakes version of the genre that we've been craving for some time. So if you want the base building satisfaction of RimWorld, but with a proper tactical squad layer latched onto it, well, Dungeon Settlers definitely looks worth checking out, and maybe add it to your wishlist today. And then last but not least is Harrowlands, a medieval fantasy colony sim that leans hard into character and race dynamics. If you're the type that gets more invested in your colonists' drama rather than the base itself, then this is the game for you. You've got 3 races to juggle: the humans, the Silurians, and the Azurans, each with their own temperaments and social quirks, so friendships and rivalries will start to form on their own as your settlement grows, which just sounds crazy. On top of that, you got a procedurally generated world, you got raids coming at you, you've got imperial politics to deal with, as well as these ruins to raid for loot. Plus, it's coming with modding, so yeah, you can push that game even further. So if you enjoyed the story-building social aspects of RimWorld, then this looks like a very interesting game, and Harrowlands needs to be on your wish list today. Anyways, thanks very much for watching. What games did I leave out? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, a big shout out to my channel members. You guys always mean so much to me. But other than that, it's Marco here from Easily Distracted Games. And as always, don't stop gaming.